100% effort, Carpenter said, polishing Binghamton's medals. It's a diplomatic mission, sir. If we impress the Sultan, we secure the island of Marami for the Navy. Binghamton's eyes gleamed. I'll show them what a real commander looks like. I'll send McHale and his riffraff on a fake recon mission to Aku Aku. Get them off the base. But the universe had other plans. The Sultan's plane developed engine trouble and was forced down near the island of Samura, exactly where McHale's PT-73 was patrolling. Greetings, Your Highness, McHale said, helping the Sultan aboard the greasy, oil-slicked deck of the torpedo boat. The Sultan was a magnificent man in flowing robes. Behind him stood 3 women veiled in silk. I am Karim. These men, are they to be trusted with my priceless cargo? Wowie, wow, wow, Parker exclaimed, staring at the princesses. The Sultan stiffened. What did he say? McHale stepped in quickly. It's a ceremonial greeting, Your Highness. In our country, it means, the moon is beautiful in your eyes. Wowie, wow, wow, the Sultan repeated, nodding. Very well, proceed. By the time the boat reached the main base, the Sultan was so thrilled by the ride that he insisted McHale be the guest of honor at the welcome dinner. Binghamton was forced to grit his teeth and smile while McHale sat next to royalty. However, the night took a turn for the surreal. One of the princesses, Siri, had taken a liking to Parker's bumbling charm. They had sneaked away for a boat ride, leaving a replacement in her place, a sailor in a veil. Binghamton, convinced that McHale was hiding a phony Balinese bunny among the princesses to sabotage the dinner, decided to take action. He approached the youngest princess and grabbed her veil. I've got you, you phony, Binghamton yelled, pulling. The veil came away to reveal. Captain! The Sultan roared, standing up and drawing a ceremonial sword. You have debased the dignity of my house. You are a stupid infidel. I thought she was an ensign, Binghamton stammered, backing away. You thought my daughter was a sailor? The Sultan's face turned a dangerous shade of red. I shall report this to Washington. My princesses shall dance no more for you. As the Sultan marched away, Binghamton fell into a punch bowl. McHale leaned over him, shaking his head. Tough luck, Captain. Maybe you should have used the wowie. Wow greeting. Chapter 5. The Laughing Gas Incident. I'm bringing the hammer down, Binghamton declared a week later. The crew of the 73 sat in their shack, looking gloomy. We can't let Mr. Parker get railroaded, Gruber said. He's a bamba, but he's our bamba. We need to get the captain in a good mood, McHale mused. But how do you make a man laugh who has a heart made of cold flint? Laughing gas, Willie suggested. The dentist's office just got a fresh tank of nitrous oxide. He have you. The plan was simple. They would sneak the gas into the captain's office via the ventilation system just before the fitness board convened. The next morning, Binghamton sat at his desk, ready to destroy Parker's career. Suddenly, a sweet, metallic smell filled the room. Now, Ensign Parker, Binghamton began, regarding the incident where you torpedoed the garbage scow. He paused. A giggle escaped his lips. The garbage scow. It had potato peels on it. Binghamton started to laugh. It wasn't a normal laugh. It was a high-pitched, hysterical cackle. And you thought it was a submarine? You're a scream, sir? Parker asked, blinking. I love you, Parker. You're my Chucky-Wucky. Binghamton jumped up and tried to hug him. Let's cancel the fitness board. Let's throw a party. Let's go swimming with the nurses. Just then, the air raid sirens began to wail. A real Japanese scouting plane was overhead. Invaders. Binghamton cheered, still high on the gas. Look at the pretty planes. They look like flies. Frangipani flies. Geronimo. He ran out into the courtyard, waving a wrench and blowing kisses at the sky. Admiral Shoemaker, who had arrived to oversee the board, watched in horror as the base commander danced a jig during a combat alert. Binghamton, what is the meaning of this? Shoemaker yelled. Hi, showy wowie, Binghamton chirped, pinching the Admiral's cheek. "You're a barrel of fun." While Binghamton was busy assaulting the Admiral with affection, Parker accidentally tripped over a machine gun mount. The gun went off, firing a wild burst into the sky. By some miracle of physics and luck, the bullet struck the engine of the enemy plane. It spiraled down and crashed into the lagoon. "He did it." "Of course he is." Binghamton laughed, collapsing onto a pile of sandbags. "He's my best friend." Doot-doot. Doot-doot. By the time the gas wore off, Parker had been awarded a commendation for bravery, and Binghamton had a headache that lasted for 3 days and an official reprimand for unprofessional conduct with a superior officer. Chapter 6. The New Caledonia Payroll. The final straw came when the base payroll went missing. $62,000, Binghamton screamed. "And I sent Parker to pick it up. I was a fool. I was a madman." The crew had been in New Caledonia for a brief leave. Parker, while carrying the payroll bag, had been distracted by a girl with a heart-shaped birthmark on her ankle and had promptly been mugged by a group of local thugs. "We have to find that money, Skip," Parker sobbed. "Binghamton will have me in the brig until the year 2000. The crew spent the next 12 hours scouring the back alleys of New Caledonia. They weren't looking for the money. They were looking for an uncle. "I found her," Gruber yelled, pointing to a cafe. "The girl with the heart." But the girl wasn't a thief. She was the girlfriend of a local gangster who had stashed the payroll bag inside an old, decorative cannon in the town square, intending to retrieve it after the heat died down. Binghamton and the local police arrived just as McHale's crew reached the cannon. "Aha!" Binghamton cried. "Caught you red-handed. You're trying to steal the cannon now?" "Captain, the money is inside," McHale shouted. "Likely story." "Arrest them." In the confusion, Parker accidentally bumped into the cannon. It was an antique, but it was still loaded with a ceremonial powder charge. The impact triggered the fuse. Boom! The cannon roared. But instead of a cannonball, a massive cloud of green paper exploded into the air. $62,000 rained down on the town square, like confetti. Binghamton stood frozen as a $100 bill drifted down and landed on his nose. "My money," he whispered. "It's manna from heaven." "Actually, sir, it's the payroll from the cannon," McHale said, casually catching a stack of 20s. "I told you Parker was a crack shot." Epilogue. The eternal struggle. Back on Taratupa, the dust had finally settled. McHale and his men were back at their island, their ukuleles were playing, and a pig was roasting. In his office, Captain Binghamton sat staring at his reflection in a trophy. He looked at his singed eyebrows, his graying hair, and the stack of garter belt requisitions on his desk. "Sir?" Carpenter whispered. "The petty officers' club sinks are backing up again." Binghamton didn't scream. He didn't pace. He simply reached into his drawer, took out a bottle of indigestion pills, and swallowed 3. "McHale," he whispered to the empty room. "One of these days, McHale. One of these days." And out on the lagoon, the PT-73 roared to life, its wake cutting a white line across the blue water, heading toward another adventure that would undoubtedly make the captain's blood boil once again. The Pirates of Taratupa. The Untold Chronicles of the PT-73. Chapter 1. The Garter Belt Crisis and the Captain's Gastric Distress. The sun over the Pacific island of Taratupa didn't just shine, it leaned against you like a sweaty, unwelcome relative. It was the kind of heat that turned a starched uniform into a wet rag in under 3 minutes, and for Captain Wallace B. Binghamton, affectionately known by his men as Old Lead Bottom, the heat was the least of his problems. Binghamton sat behind his desk, his face a shade of crimson that suggested either a looming stroke or a very specific type of tropical fever. He was currently staring at a supply manifest that made no sense in the context of a global conflict. "Wow," Binghamton whispered to the empty room. "Wow, wow, wow. Garter belts?" He looked up at his supply officer, who was vibrating with the kind of nervous energy usually reserved for small dogs during a thunderstorm. "You are the supply officer here, are you not? If the nurses need garter belts, then you snap to it. You shake a leg, I mean. You know what I mean." We are fighting a war, and I am